but we will recap it today. Chapter 41 began a new area of teachings on how to make, what's the word I'm looking for? To give us methods and ways on how we can have the love and awe of God. That it should be real. That it shouldn't be something just for the books. And the Alter Rebbe in the previous chapter said that it's, well, if we ponder the fact that God looks at us to see inwardly, inside of us, our thoughts and what's really in our heart, are we truly there to serve? Or like I say, are we here to serve or to be served? So are we here truly serving God as it is fitting? And what we explained was the lower level of fear is not fear of punishment, but is fear of presence. When there's the presence of another human being in your life, you act differently, especially if you want to impress that human being, as opposed to when there's no other human being in the room. What do you say when you want to do something sinful, something wrong? I hope no one watches, no one's looking, and you look around to see if anybody is watching you. So if God is watching us, that is a sense of God's presence. He's not watching us to come and punish us if we do the misdeed. On the contrary, he's looking at us to give us the empowerment that his presence should bring us to do the right thing, because that's really what he wants. That's what he wants. So that's what you learned in the previous chapter. The Alter Rebbe then continues with this idea of the lower level of fear. Again, fear here meaning not wanting to be disconnected, not wanting to, through having the sense of presence of God. With this, we will now understand the teachings of the Talmud. We'll take this idea to another level. The Talmud tells us like this. There's a verse in Deuteronomy, in the book of Devarim. It says, now Israel, Jewish people, what does God, Moses is speaking to the Jewish people, what does God want from you but just to fear him? And that's all that God wants. So that's what the verse in the Torah says, in Deuteronomy. The Talmud takes this verse and says, what? And fear is such a simple thing? Really? That's all that God wants, is that we should fear him? In other words, have the presence. Is it that really that simple? So what does the Talmud answer? It says, yes. For Moses, it's simple. That's the piece of Talmud. The Alter Rebbe asks on this piece of Talmud. It makes sense. The question is on every single Jew, that God is only asking that you should have this lower level of fear, as we explained, the presence of God. And the Talmud asks, is that such a simple thing? And answers, yes, it is for Moses. When the question was not about Moses. The question is about every single Jew. So why are we answering about Moses? That for him it is simple. So the Alter Rebbe explains, is because every soul of the Jewish people are comprised of a quality of Moses in us. In other words, we have a piece of Moses in us. Actually, to put it in better context, we have not just a piece of him, but all of the faithful shepherds of the Jewish people. And the Alter Rebbe expounds upon Abraham, for example. Abraham was the embodiment of love and kindness. Love that propelled him to do true kindness. That trait we inherited from him, and it is part of the makeup of the Jewish soul that he inherited to his descendants. The general Yitzchak gives us the fear, and Yaakov gives us compassion. The Alter Rebbe doesn't go into those details because the general quality that we get from the faithful shepherds, meaning the leaders of the Jewish people, the original leaders of the Jewish people. So the general value or quality of soul character that we had been imbued with is from Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu. And what is that? It's called das. Das. Das means, well, we've learned this before. Chachma is the seed of knowledge. It's the kernel that has everything there. It's that eureka, that bright light that comes into your mind. Ah, got it. But then if you don't expand upon it through Bina, through the breadth, depth, and length of the idea, then you will lose it. You won't really own it. You won't have it. But this world is full of information. That's Bina. We're in the information age. What we're sorely lacking in our world is Das. Das is to connect to the idea, to make it real. I give the example always of the doctor who knows very well the ills of smoking. And yet, for the metaphor's sake, this doctor smokes. How could he smoke? He knows the ills of it because it's only a piece of information that's floating in his head, but he's not connecting to it. Moshe Rabbeinu is the embodiment of Das Elyon, of supernal, divine Das. What we translated it as, wisdom, understanding, and this third one, Das, is knowledge. That's not a good translation. It is taking something that's real in information in your head and then funneling it through the neck where it gets kind of lost to the heart. That the heart should have some awareness. And what is it, the Das that the Moshe Rabbeinu Moses is giving in our soul? That we have a spark of him in our soul. What is that Das? An awareness of God. An awareness that the realness of God, that God is the knower, the knowledge, and the known is one, that we can experience the presence of God in our soul because we have a spark of Moses in us as a result of him, peace in us. And the truth is, in every generation, the Alter Rebbe continues, there is a spark of Moses. Actually, we have a ray. For the metaphoric sake, we have a ray of light of Moses in us. In every generation, there are the eyes of the generation, the sages, the holy people of the generation, like the Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe in our generation, who have a spark of Moshe Rabbeinu. They are the continuation of Moses in that generation. And what is their duty? What is their goal? Is just to provide a realness, an awareness of God to everyone of that generation. How do they do that? How's the Alter Rebbe doing it for us? Very simple. He wrote Tanya for us. When we learn his teachings, we're getting Das, a connectivity, that the pieces of information that we have over here is not just information, but it's information that is not just earth-shattering, but information that changes our lives, truly changes our lives. And that's what the leader of every generation, the Moses of the generation, is there to accomplish, to make certain that the people of that generation should be inspired with the teachings of Torah, of their teachings of Torah, right? Just as Moses is teaching, to be able to bring that awareness and bring it in heart and soul of the individual. That it's not just information in the head, but it's funneled and it becomes something very real to us. Something so real to us, just like when I hit the table, it's very real that I'm at a table, I feel it, I see it, I heard it when I hit it, right? So God's presence in our lives should be in a similar manner. The truth is, the Alter Rebbe says that eventually we won't need these teachers to teach us this. because that's what Mashiach will do. Mashiach will bring a messianic era that the presence of God will be so real. But right now, it's not real in the physical eye. It's only real in the mind's eye. It's only real because we have such teachers who, through their teachings, who through their presence, and by the way, through this, the Alter Rebbe brings over here that Chassidim never tired at looking at the presence of a Rebbe, of their Rebbe. Why? Because in seeing the presence of their Rebbe, they felt the presence of God. Because what is a Rebbe is nothing else but an embodiment of God's teachings, of God's presence in them. There is nothing that is, they are a complete conduit, a complete connection to God Almighty, that we never tire looking at a holy individual, because just looking at that holy individual is an inspiration for the presence of God in our lives. So, when Mashiach will come again, we won't need that, because then we'll have it. You know why we will have it, folks? Because you're learning it now. If you're not learning Tanya now, learning Chassidus now, Mashiach will come. You know, what you have now is what you're going to get then. What you have now in your mind's eye, you will have it in your physical eye. But in the meantime, we need the Alter Rebbe. We need our Rebbe. We need all the Rebbeim, all the holy individuals, because each one of them give us a das, a connection. Because the word das actually comes from Adam knew Eve. Adam yada is Chava. He knew her, meaning they had intimate relations, meaning they connected. Das is about connecting to the ideas of, and the awareness of God, and that they become so real for us. Now, you might ask, whoa, where do we get that capacity? I understand my soul has that, but isn't my soul now in a body that also has a human/animal soul that has a different agenda? So it sounds very, wonderful idea, but how real is it? So Alter Rebbe says, yeah, it's true. You're right. However, it does become real. We have to exert ourselves in two areas. Exertion of the flesh, not allowing the flesh to control us, not allowing the body with its agenda to be the master of my life. In other words, right now you might be hungry. I'm giving this by way of example. You might be hungry, but you're not allowing the flesh to speak its agenda or to dictate its agenda. It may speak its agenda, but it's not going to control you. How? Because you still focus on your Tanya. That's exertion of the flesh, right? Not allowing, again, the bodily agenda to rule over me. Then we need exertion of the soul. In other words, we need to contemplate this. It's true that this is in my soul. It's the true reality of my soul, that it has a piece of Moshe Rabbeinu, or the Moses of our generation. We have a piece in our neshama that we have to reveal. So it takes exertion of not allowing the negativity to control me. And that's not sufficient. I need to be able to be in a good space to be able to contemplate on this truth, on the teachings, in such a way that they do come out of my soul, that I become aware that God is standing over me. And even though my soul might be of a lowly gradation in the order of the creative process, where my soul might come from the lowest world of Asiya, from the lowest divine attributes of the world of Asiya, that's okay. We have the capacity to think, in our generation, how much time we're going to think. We're not going to be like in the times of the Alter Rebbe, they could think hours. And to bring that awareness and that sense of fear of God, the awesomeness of God, the presence of God in their lives. In our generation, the fact that we learn this and we think about it and we try to contemplate it, at least somewhat, try to contemplate it. If we work at it, labor at it, we will find the presence of God in our lives. Not easy. I don't want to suggest that this is easy. But then we will be able to come and reflect, and it'll, at least the presence of God will bring us that we will stay away from evil and do good. That's the bottom line, right? That's what the presence is, this lower level of presence of God is to accomplish. It's to keep me on the straight and narrow, to keep me from doing what I should, keeping away from what I shouldn't do and what I should do. Excuse me. No cold, don't worry. Or no other things. Baruch Hashem, thank God. And that, as the rabbis say, reflect upon three things, as we're learning in Pirkei Avos this coming week. And you won't come to do any sin. Know that what is above you, the eye that sees and the ear that hears. Again, for what reason? Not for punishment, but for enabling us to be who we need to be. True servants of God. Truly being able to find the capacity within my soul to truly connect and not disconnect. And doing the service as is needed, is what God needs from me. Powerful ideas, a lot there. One of the things personally that I love about this chapter, chapter 2 speaks about a Rebbe, and chapter 42 speaks about a Rebbe. Here it speaks about a Rebbe that we all need a Rebbe. Until Mashiach comes, then we have Mashiach as our teacher. But we need a Rebbe. Why do we need a Rebbe? Is because we're all believers. We believe. But that belief is, as we call makiftik, surrounds us, but it's not permeated within us. Our Rebbe gives us his teachings that enable us through the teachings, as we're learning in Tanya, to integrate the teachings, and it becomes a part of me. It becomes my truth, my reality. It's my truth of my soul deep down, but it's not the truth of my living reality until I learn Tanya and implement it and make it a part of my life. And that's what's unique about Chabad. Other Hasidim, it's sufficient to believe in your Rebbe, and I'll hold on to his coattails. I'm not going to be able to accomplish this stuff on my own. So I'm a believer through him. But that's called Chagas teachings, which refer to the emotional parts of the soul. And Chabad is the intellectual part of the soul. And it's not enough that we can connect to a holy tzaddik, righteous individual, a Rebbe. We need to be able to do the work on our own. He provides us the content. He provides us the teachings. He provides us the inspiration. He provides us a piece of him inside of us, because the teachings are teachings of God. And therefore, through his teachings, we connect and have a piece of him. That's a part of our soul that started with Moshe Rabbeinu, with Moses. And now, in every generation, we have that teacher, that Rebbe, that inspires us. So we have the Alter Rebbe, and we also have in our generation, we have the older Rebbeim, and we have in our generation the Rebbe, which is important that we have engage in his teachings in order that we can allow through his teachings that I can connect to God in the appropriate way, as we're learning from the Alter Rebbe. More on that at another time. Heather, thank you. Doran from Saskatchewan, welcome. Yitzchak. Okay. Very good. Christopher, loud and clear. Clem from Brisbane, welcome. Christopher from Flagship, Arizona, thank you for joining. Tina from Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you for joining. Esther, good morning. And Robin from Ohio, good morning. Stephanie from Bloomington, Illinois, good morning. And Jonathan, good vach to you in Brazil. Yes, Tina, obedience. Yeah, doing what you got to do definitely works. Jordan Kovacs, thank you for joining. Ernie from Mississippi, welcome. Karen from LA, Shavua Tov. Tony from Costa Rica, Boker Tov. Philip from Texas, good morning. Rusty also from Texas, good morning. Darren, yes, very true. Thank you, Cassie. Thank you very much for your comment. Megan from Israel. All right. Thank you for joining. And who else do we have here? Annette from the Bronx. Shalom, Shavua Tov. And don't see other new names. Not certain. Maybe I missed somebody. Sylvie. Ezra. Margalo's out there from Poland. Welcome aboard. All right, folks. Sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. By the way, I will have, for those interested, a class on Facebook tonight. If you private message me, I can give you more information. You can even come on Zoom if you private message me. And it'll be on Facebook, Chabad ZK, Chabad Zichrai. And tonight at 6:30. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have a wonderful day, a good vach,